Hello again, everybody. It is late Advent here at Little Portion Hermitage, and I want to take this opportunity to extend a Merry Christmas to everybody and a prosperous New Year, even in this time of economic trouble in our country and around the world. You know, prosperity is not just a matter of something external, it's really a matter of the spirit and a matter of the heart. And perhaps the Lord is teaching us that as we are deprived of some of the normal habits of our past, consumerism and materialism, even among Christians, even among monks, that He's causing us to look to an interior prosperity and interior happiness during this holiday season. It's going to be a different season here at Little Portion, of course, after the Great Fire of April 28th. We no longer have our common building and our chapel. It was normal that we would have 80 to 100 extra people for midnight mass, and then also for our Christmas dinner the following day. It was a joyous, wonderful experience. Well, now we just have a little chapel that we can barely get our community and a handful of neighbors into, and we are packed in there like sardines. And of course we don't have any room even for the community to enjoy a meal together. We are again packed in like sardines around very inexpensive Walmart folding tables and chairs. So we will be having our Christmas midnight mass and our Christmas dinner for the community up at our retreat center at Moore Mountain this year. So it will be very different for us. We are in adaptation mode. We can't even celebrate here at the Hermitage. We have to go elsewhere. God willing, that will change as the new building is built. But with economic times as they are, we don't know how long that'll take. Christmas is, of course, the beginning of the great manifestation, the great revelation of the paradox of God. In the Old Testament and even in the beginnings of our Christian faith, there are many things about the faith that are just objective. They're true, they're false, they're good, they're bad, and we need that kind of revelation from God to get us started in our spiritual life regarding faith and morality. But then we have to move on into that place of deeper interior prayer, contemplative prayer, mystical experience, and that happens through paradox, the apparent contradiction that speaks a deeper truth, that there is wealth in poverty, that there is communion in solitude, that there is communication, the word, in silence, and so on. And deep in the human heart we know these things to be true, and Jesus comes into the world to manifest those things most clearly in a way beyond just what a teacher or a prophet would do, even though teachers and prophets have said it most beautifully in the past. With Jesus, He is this paradox, and that's manifested at Christmas. That the strength of God is manifested in the weakness, the vulnerability of the Christ child. That the great wealth of God is manifested in the poverty of the Holy Family gathered in that little manger, which was basically a hermit's cave, or a shepherd's cave around Bethlehem. Today, some of them are hermits' caves. I've had a chance to experience them in my life, and it's a very contemplative experience, spending a long period of time in one of those shepherds' caves, watching out on the flocks and on the fields. So it was not a rich man's or a rich family's dwelling. It was a very poor dwelling. Likewise, the proclamation of this gospel goes not only to the rich and the powerful. As a matter of fact, Herod and the high priests and the great religious leaders of Israel's day were missing it. It came to two places. First, this great wealth was manifested to the poor shepherds, and they were the ones who heard the angels singing glory to God. They were the ones who went there to that cave, to that manger, and worshipped and adored the Christ child. They could see this paradox. Likewise, the people of Israel couldn't see it, the leaders of Israel couldn't see it, and it took people of other religions, of other faiths from the Far East, the Magi, they were the ones who were able to see it, even though they were not experiencing the revelation of the Old Testament scriptures, the special revelation that God gave to the people of the Old Testament. Yet they were able to see it. They were able to hear it, even through their own scriptures, through their own spiritual longings. And maybe not at the time of Christmas itself, but as soon as they could get there, they came and they did homage to this King of Kings who was born as a poor babe in the manger. We know that Christmas is not the actual date of the birth of Jesus. The early church knew that. They couldn't find it. We've come a little closer to it. Some would say that it's somewhere around the beginning of April now, but in those days they didn't know these things. So they looked for an appropriate time, and the appropriate time was around the winter solstice. So up and from the summer solstice until the winter solstice, the days get shorter. And so darkness begins to creep into the day. And from the winter solstice on, the days start getting longer. So they said, this is the great time. This is a great symbol of the birth of Jesus. That darkness has gone as far as it can go in this world, and Jesus is going to be born, the Messiah, the Christ. And the days are going to begin getting longer. The period of light will get every day longer and longer and longer until there's the full sunshine of summer, of resurrection, as it were. So Christmas is a beautiful symbol that any of the creeping darkness in our life can be turned around, and the light of God can begin to creep, can begin to advance, can begin bit by bit, day by day, experience by experience. The darkness can be dispelled, and light will be victorious. So I want to take this opportunity to just say Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Even in this time of economic difficulty, even in this time of, quote, darkness, end quote, in our society. The darkness will be dispelled, and the prosperity that we will find will be an eternal prosperity, because it will be a prosperity of the Spirit, a prosperity of the heart. God bless you now. Merry Christmas.